space from my above my belly button down to my pelvic bone. And I felt that, and it was very, very, very painful. And when they got through the last of the muscle on my stomach went poof, just like a rubber band that would be tight and you cut it. It was the same thing. And I felt the muscles go right to the back of my spine. And in that intense pain, that is when I experienced being out of my body. And the next thing I know, I am floating above my body. I'm looking down on the table and I see my body. I can see the people around it. I can see them moving. I can hear things, but I'm not tuning into that because I was confused on how I was able to see what looked like my body laying on the table. And even in that moment, I do not recognize myself as being in my body. I just am observing what looks like my body on the table. And then the next moment I said, oh my God, I'm dead. Like they've killed me. This is why I'm not there and I'm here. And I was happy. I was elated because the life that I was living was, I was not happy at all. I had no joy in my life or in my body or anything. And I didn't want to be in life anymore. I wanted to be gone. So I thought that this was, I was free and I was happy in this moment. And in that moment of happiness of I don't have to go back anymore, I felt like a voice inside of me, and it said, you're going to have to go back. And I said, I don't want to go back. And they said, well, you're not done with the life that you're living and you need to go back. And there's things for you to do. And I refused. I said, no, I don't want to go back. I feel good right here. I don't feel pain. I don't feel worry or stress. There was like, I was checking in with myself and I had none of those feelings and I didn't want to go back. So in the next moment, I was surrounded with like a fog. It was a very light green and it was filled with love. I remember the way that it made me feel. I felt like every atom or every tiny particle of my body was resonating with some unconditional love that I had never felt, and I've never felt since on this planet. But it was overwhelming and it was a wonderful feeling. And as I was kind of absorbing this feeling and feeling myself healthy, feeling myself clear, feeling myself light, and feeling myself disconnected from the things that I was and was doing in my earthly life, then some beings appeared around me. It's as if they kind of like came out of the mist. I didn't see them walking or anything or floating. They just kind of were standing around me, and they were a very, very bright blue, almost like the picture behind you. You have kind of like an edge to the planet or the something in the universe, and that very, very bright, bright blue was what they were filled with. I could not see a face or eyes or a nose or any kind of defining features, but I could definitely see like a head, shoulders, arms. But every time I tried to look at them, they were so bright that I couldn't really like concentrate. I could see them better like from the edge than straight on. And they were speaking with me, mental telepathy, I guess, because no mouth opened, but I could hear them clearly. And they expressed to me that I needed to come back, that there were things for me to do. And I was very rebellious. And I said, but I don't want to return because I don't feel good there. I feel good here. And I feel like this is home where I'm from. But I don't feel like I'm home down there. I feel disconnected. And they kept explaining to me that I needed to go back, and I kept refusing. And then finally, a voice said, I have something to share with you. I have something to show you. And I think that this will help you to return there, and you'll feel better about it. And what they showed me in front of me appeared several spider webs that were layered upon each other. And from those spider webs, other webs were attached to them that went out in many different directions. And in the center of the spider web, each one was words that I spoke, like a word coming out made like the center of the web that went out. And I saw that if I was to say something good to somebody, if good words were coming from my mouth, like, oh, you look beautiful today, or, oh, you did such a good job with that, or, oh, that is the prettiest dress I've ever seen. Anything positive would kind of like go to that person, and that person might repeat something positive to somebody else or say another positive thing to somebody. And so there'd be a beautiful kind of like connection to that line. And it showed that my positive word had been repeated by another, and then they would say it to somebody else and it would repeat to another, and it just would kind of light up these spider webs because the positivity was being passed on. It was more like there were several voices, but they were in sync, almost like singing but not singing, speaking at the same time, explaining to me that I needed to come back. It didn't sound pushy. It didn't sound like an emergency. It just sounded like a very gentle, loving nudge that you need to come back. And so I didn't see, like I said, I didn't see a mouth move. I heard it in my head. So I don't really know what that is because I've never had that type of a conversation with anyone on the planet. But I did feel like it was a conversation because it didn't feel like it was me that was talking. And the feeling that I had while I was there, I think, is the most important, because I felt so supported, so loved. I felt absolutely not judged at all for the thoughts I was thinking or the type of human that I was. And when I say the word love, I can't even express to you how much that word means nothing to that feeling. It's the only word we have in our language. We say love and we kind of have an idea what that means, but divine love is on a whole completely another level because it's inside every part of you. It's in everything. It's in every atom. It's in every cell. And I just felt so loved and so supported. And then I also was comprehending at the same time that life isn't what we think it is. There's not an ending to life. There's a continuation of life. And that these beings that I were around felt more like a loving family, that I had not had, experienced that type of support and love. So no, there was no voice conversation. It was in the head. But when I responded, I felt like I was speaking, but like I said, I never saw my hands. I didn't look down to see my feet. So I'm not sure what embodiment I was in myself being there. I just know that I was very aware of what was happening. And so when I responded to the first time when I said no, I mean, I think that it actually came out of, like it felt very strong and very loud to me. But like I said, there was nothing there for me to compare to say I was there in a body form, but I was definitely myself, and those beings were something else. It was not me. So what they gave to me was like, I call it kind of like an opposite of a tunnel vision. What they gave me was kind of like this is very hard to explain, because the analogy that I can only come close to is if I was a computer and someone took a stick and stuck it in me, and all of a sudden I was loaded with all this information. That's kind of what it felt like. It felt like it was just kind of downloaded into me instantaneously. And it gave me a larger picture of life. So we have our day-to-day things that we're doing right now, right here in this moment. You're dealing with the thing that's in front of you. And that's a very kind of a very kind of singular look at something in your life. But what is this happening right now? And why is it happening? What happened to get you here? And where is that going to go? And that bigger picture that they gave me kind of, in a way, helped me to understand why we were where we were and why we do what we do. And that understanding has been growing ever since that experience. So like sometimes somebody will be talking to me and they'll be telling me something that's going on. And my mind immediately goes to this very open, larger picture. And I can say, well, I see a connection to this thing here, that maybe you need to kind of look at, because what you're thinking about this is clouding or coloring this idea you have right here. Because when they let me have those understandings, when I first came back, those understandings were really deep in me, very deep. Like I remembered almost everything that happened, what was said, what was going on. But over time, not only did I lose the ability to like just sit and remember that unconditional love, because that is not on our planet right now. And there's nothing that feels like that unless you're with like a person who's just so loving and just has such beautiful light energy, and you hug them and you get close to that for a second. But that love, like I could not hold on to that because I could only sit and think about it in order to create it. And after so many years, it got harder and harder. I can remember it, I can talk about it, but to make myself actually feel it right now and here is difficult. And that's the same thing with the information that they downloaded to me. For a long time, I could remember, and so much of myself changed because of that information. But at the same time, word for word, I cannot express. It's more like it's now in me. It's now a part of me. It's a part of how I speak. It's a part of how I move throughout the world. It's a part of how I protect myself moving throughout the world.